Have you ever felt a chill in a perfectly warm room? A sense of being seen, not with eyes, but with an intention? We tell ourselves that evil strikes at random, that a victim is just a person in the wrong place at the wrong time. That is a comforting lie. Predators don't hunt for bodies, they hunt for psyches. They are drawn to something specific within a person, a silent signal that most of us can't see, but that their darkness recognizes instantly. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the darkest secrets of the human psyche. What is it that a predator's mind, their very shadow, is hunting for? It's not what you think, and what you're about to learn might change the way you see the world and yourself forever. We need to talk about a fundamental misunderstanding we have about the nature of a predator. We paint them as monsters, as inhuman creatures that exist outside the bounds of our world. It's easier that way. If they are other, then they are not us. But the most unsettling truth, the one Carl Jung spent his life exploring, is that the monster isn't an invader. It's a part of the human design. He called it the shadow. Think of it like this. Deep in the basement of your mind, there's a room where you store every impulse you're ashamed of. Your anger, your envy, your cruelty, your darkest fantasies. We all have this room. We keep the door locked, and for most of us, it stays locked. We live our lives upstairs, in the light. But for some, the lock breaks, the door splinters, and the thing living in the basement doesn't just get out. It takes over the house. This is the birth of the predator's shadow. It's not just a collection of bad thoughts anymore. It's a living, breathing intention, a hunger. And like any hunger, it seeks to be fed. This is where the hunt begins, and this hunt is never, ever random. The predator's shadow operates on a different kind of sight. It doesn't see your clothes, your car, or your job. It sees the architecture of your soul. It's looking for a specific kind of doorway, a psychic signature that says, here is a place you can enter. We are told to be strong, to be aware, to not look like a victim. But what if the very things we are taught to value, the things we believe make us good people, are the signals it's looking for? What if the predator isn't looking for weakness, but for a very specific kind of light to extinguish? The first trait, the first signal that makes the shadow's head turn, is something we are all taught to admire, something we often mistake for strength. It's a profound, unwavering, almost militant sense of innocence. I don't mean naivete in the simple sense. I mean a deep, psychological refusal to acknowledge the world's darkness. It's the person who insists, against all evidence, that everyone is good deep down. The one who believes that if they are just kind enough, loving enough, and pure enough, nothing bad can touch them. They don't just avoid their own shadow. They deny its existence in the world entirely. In Jungian terms, this isn't just innocence. It's a psychic imbalance. It's a soul walking in brilliant, blinding sunlight with no understanding of what a shadow even is. To the predator's shadow, this is not a sign of goodness. It is a vacuum. It is an irresistible invitation. The shadow, being the embodiment of all that is denied, is drawn to this purity with a gravitational pull. Its entire existence is a contradiction to this person's worldview. Therefore, it feels a deep archetypal compulsion to shatter that worldview. It's not about simple violence. It's about psychic annihilation. It's about proving that the basement is real.
The predator sees this person and thinks, you do not believe I exist, I will make myself your only reality. It's a symbolic act. The wolf is drawn to the lamb not just for the meal, but for the act of turning a symbol of innocence into a symbol of experience, the most brutal kind of experience imaginable. The predator's goal is to drag that pure soul down into the basement and force it to see what lives there. It is a deep, dark need to corrupt, to tarnish, to prove its own reality by destroying another's. This is why you sometimes see the most vicious acts committed against people who seem to be the most gentle and kind-hearted. It's not a cosmic joke or a random tragedy. It is a psychic law, a profound imbalance calling out to its opposite. The predator's shadow seeks to teach the most brutal lesson of all, that no amount of light can exist without acknowledging the darkness it casts. The first trait, then, is a kind of spiritual and psychological blindness, a willed innocence that, in the psychic world, rings like a dinner bell. It is the signature of someone who has not made peace with the world's totality, and the predator is all too willing to provide the introduction. But this isn't the only signal. Sometimes the shadow isn't hunting for a light to extinguish, but for a darkness it already recognizes. It's looking for an echo of its own brokenness. This leads us to the second trait, a signature that is far more common and far more tragic. It's a signal broadcasted from a place of deep, unhealed pain. It is the signature of the echoing wound. Think of a trauma from your past, a betrayal, a loss, a moment of deep shame that you never truly dealt with. You patched it up, you moved on, you built a life around it. But the wound itself is still there, beneath the surface. It's a psychic fracture. And a fracture, no matter how well hidden, has a sound. It emits a frequency. The predator's shadow is an expert in the acoustics of pain. It grew up in a house where everything was broken. It knows the sound of a fracture because it is a fracture. When it moves through the world, it is listening. It is listening for the echo of its own damage in others. It's not a conscious process. It's an instinct. It feels the presence of someone with an unhealed wound the way a shark feels a drop of blood in the water a mile away. This person doesn't have to be weak on the outside. They can be successful, confident, put together. But inside, that old wound has hollowed out a part of their sense of self. It created a void where their certainty, their value, their right to say no should be. To the predator, this void is a doorway. It's an unlocked entrance. Why is this so attractive to the shadow? Because a person with an unhealed wound is predictable. Their reactions are governed by the geography of their pain. The predator knows that if it pushes on the edge of that wound, it will get a specific reaction: fear, compliance, a desperate need for approval. It's a landscape the predator already knows how to navigate because it's the same landscape inside its own mind. It's a dance between two broken things, but only one of them is aware that the dance is happening. The predator uses the victim's own pain as a weapon against them. It will subtly mirror their insecurities, making them feel seen and understood in a way no one else ever has. It will present itself as the cure to the very loneliness the wound creates. This is the profound cruelty of it. The victim feels a sense of connection, of fate, of finally being found. But what they are connecting with is not a soulmate. They are connecting with a predator that has simply recognized the shape of their wound and has molded itself to fit perfectly inside it.
This is why you so often see people fall into relationships or situations that are eerily similar to the ones that hurt them in the past. It's not because they are attracted to bad people. It's because the unresolved energy of their wound continues to send out a signal, and the only ones tuned to that frequency are those who intend to harm. The predator's shadow sees this wound and knows it has found fertile ground. It knows this is a person who has already been taught that pain is a form of love, that neglect is a form of attention. It knows this is a person who can be convinced to accept the unacceptable because they already have. The echoing wound is a tragic signal because it comes from a place of suffering, and it calls forth only more suffering. It's a quiet cry for help that is only heard by those who have no intention of helping. And this brings us to a shocking point of clarity, a reality check. We often think of predators as hunting for the weak, but the first two traits, militant innocence and the echoing wound, are not necessarily weaknesses. They are imbalances. They are parts of the human experience that have been left untended. But the third trait is the most paradoxical and terrifying of all. Because the third trait the predator's shadow is drawn to is not weakness. It is a very specific and very dangerous kind of strength. It's a light, but not the blinding light of innocence. It's a focused, determined light. It is the signature of the rescuer. This is the person with a powerful, almost overwhelming sense of empathy, the one who believes they can fix the broken, the one who is drawn to darkness not to fight it from a distance, but to go into it and heal it from within. They see a wounded person, a troubled soul, and their first instinct isn't to run, it's to reach out. Their core belief is that their love, their patience, their light is strong enough to save anyone. On the surface, this is a beautiful, noble quality, but from a Jungian perspective, it is a catastrophic risk. Why? Because the predator's shadow is the ultimate manipulator of this instinct. It knows how to perform brokenness. It will show the rescuer a sliver of vulnerability, a glimpse of a manufactured childhood trauma, a hint of a soul that just wants to be loved. It presents itself as a project, a challenge, the ultimate reclamation project. And for the rescuer, this is the most addictive lure in the world. They see a chance to validate their own purpose. If I can save this person, then I will have proven my own worth. I will have proven that light is stronger than darkness. This is the predator's masterstroke. It uses the victim's own strength, their own empathy, their own light, as the mechanism of the trap. The rescuer walks willingly into the cage, believing they are the zookeeper. They pour their energy, their love, their very soul into this person, convinced they are seeing flickers of progress. But they are not watering a flower. They are watering a carnivorous plant. The shadow has no interest in being saved. Its goal is not healing. Its goal is consumption. It feeds on the rescuer's hope. It thrives on their failed attempts. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness only makes the predator stronger, more certain of its power.
The ultimate victory for the predator's shadow is not just to harm the rescuer, but to extinguish their light entirely. To take this person who so profoundly believed in the power of good and leave them a husk, convinced that evil is the only real force in the world. It is the most complete form of psychic murder. It's the final, brutal lesson. The light you try to shine on a black hole doesn't illuminate it. It gets pulled in and disappears forever. So what do these three traits, the blind innocent, the wounded echo, and the noble rescuer, tell us about ourselves today? From a Jungian perspective, our modern world is a breeding ground for these vulnerabilities. We are encouraged to project a perfect persona on social media, to display a kind of flawless, curated innocence. We are told to move on quickly from trauma, to bury our wounds and pretend they don't exist, leaving them to echo in silence. And we are sold a romantic, heroic narrative that a single person's love can fix the most damaged soul. We have, as a collective, become psychically unbalanced. We deny our own shadow, we ignore our own wounds, and we overestimate the power of our unexamined light. The predator does not thrive in a world of darkness. It thrives in a world that pretends darkness isn't real. It thrives in the gaps we leave in our own self-awareness. The ultimate defense, then, isn't to build higher walls. It's to finally, truly get to know every single room in your own house, especially the one in the basement. If this resonated with you, if it stirred something inside, that's a good thing. It's the beginning of awareness. Let me know in the comments if this made sense to you, if it opened a door you didn't know was there.